This is Alabama Politics with Steve Flowers, an in-depth interview with Alabama's top political newsmakers. Now, from the studios of Troy University, here is Steve Flowers.
I'm Steve Flowers, and welcome to Alabama Politics. Folks, we're fortunate to have as our guest Pike County's own state representative, Representative Wes Allen, who is well known to all of our viewers, especially in the Wiregrass and Pike and Dale counties. He's been probate judge of Pike County for almost a decade, and then went to the House of Representatives last year, won overwhelmingly, won a very hotly contested state Republican primary 60-40, and then he won overwhelmingly in the general election, and he's doing a great job as a representative for Pike and Dale counties. The number is 89, House District 89. I used to sit in that seat, y'all, for 16 years in the House of Representatives in that same seat Wes is in.
Yes, sir.
It's good to have someone with your ability and prowess and respectability in my old House seat.
Well, thank you, Steve. I appreciate you having me.
It's the same House seat I had, except for my first year I had Pike and I had Barber.
Mm-hmm.
And then they reapportioned us out, and then we went into Dale County.
Mm-hmm. Was that the federal court case that did the redistricting or
they
reapportionment?
changed us right in the middle of the time.
And you had to run again?
Had to run again.
Yeah.
I'd run in 82 in Pike and Barber, then 83. Unfortunately, I didn't have an opponent. But your daddy came right after that, did to the House. What year did he come to the House?
He came in 94.
Now, okay, now I'd been there for a while then.
Mm-hmm.
Wallace was governor, so that was easy to have that area.
Mm-hmm.
But your district, excuse me, Will, encompasses Pike and Dale. Tell our viewers what all areas you get.
Well, of course, it's all of Pike County, and then it gets down in the northern portion of Dale, which is Rocky Head, Skipperville, Ayrton, reaches over into Echo a piece. So it's a lot of geographical area. It reaches the very northern edge of Ozark. So it gets a lot of geographical area in Dale County.
And my friend Steve Klaus has the rest of Dale County.
Yeah.
That's a real pleasure serving with Steve Klaus.
It is. You know, he came in with Dad in 94, and he's been close friends with Dad, so I've been knowing Steve for a very long time, and he's been a mentor of mine, and appreciate him guiding me this first session.
He's probably one of my closest friends in the world. I may have told you this before, I've never not known Steve. Mm-hmm. His mama's from Pike County. Mm-hmm. She was Ruth Price from up around the airport area. Mm-hmm. All those Prices weren't there. And my mama and Miss Ruth grew up together and were cheerleaders together. Okay. At Old Troy High School. Yeah. And so then she married Jimmy Klaus from Ozark, and I would play with Steve as a little boy, and we were classmates at Alabama. Of course, he's quick to tell you I'm 5 years older than him. But I sort of brought him in when he came to the house.
Right.
We had encompassing. But being chairman of the general fund is an important job, and he's doing a good job in that.
He's done a fantastic job this year.
Wes, what all committees did the Speaker put you on?
Judiciary, which I found out real quick is a working committee. I mean, I don't think we had any less than 10 bills on the agenda of all of our committee meetings throughout the session. Chairman Jim Hill does a fantastic job.
He's a former judge.
He's a former circuit judge up in St. Clair County. Does a fantastic job. Real hard-working guy that wants to do a very good job. He does a great job with it. Then also, they put me on urban and rural development with Chairman Randall Shedd.
I like him a lot.
He does a great job with it. And then we're on Constitution and Elections Committee with Chairman Matt Friday. You know,
it may surprise you, but when you said Randall Shedd, I thought about an issue that passed late in the session was an important issue that nobody's really talked about. Is that broadband bill? Explain that to our viewers and how it helps Pike and Dale counties, if you will, because Randall Shedd, who you referred to, is from Blount County, and he passed that bill, but it was a very important, it was one of Kay Ivey's major bills.
It was.
Access
to rural broadband is one of the initiatives that Governor Ivey took on, and that was one of her initiatives, as you said. But it was, and he carried the bill, he carried the legislation, and did a fantastic job with it. Basically, it's allowing these electric providers, like Alabama Power and South Alabama Electric, the co-ops, Power South, and those guys, to go ahead and use their right-of-way and lay broadband on that right-of-way to give it access to the more rural parts of Alabama, so we can make sure that they have good, steady broadband internet service for students to do their homework at night, for economic development opportunities. For, let's just say, for instance, that a farmer has a bunch of chicken houses. He needs some rural broadband to help him raise those chickens to the best that he can do it and make better money and employ more people. So that's one of the things that
So Alpha was for that bill, wasn't
yeah,
it?
they were. It was the business community was behind it. So it was an important piece of legislation to get passed.
Wes, I noticed you talking about that. We'll get off subject. Now, tell our viewers about your children. Davis just went to Boys State, didn't he?
He did. He got back, let's see, it was the first week of June, last week of May, first week
Always
of
at the
June.
University of Alabama now.
They held at the University of Alabama. He'll be a senior at Pike Liberal Arts School.
Does he play sports?
He does. He's a baseball player and football player. They just
Plays both.
He plays both, so he enjoys it. And we're in some of the baseball now, but he enjoyed Boys State and a unique opportunity.
He'll be a senior next year.
He'll be a senior. It's hard to believe.
He's an SGA leader.
He is.
Now, don't you have a daughter?
I've got a daughter.
Uh-huh.
She's a 10th. She'll be a 10th grader this year. She's a cheerleader.
They grew up in a hurry, don't
They
they?
do. It's too
You better
fast.
spend a lot of time with them, though.
I do.
You know, growing up and
I do.
everything.
Try to be as involved as I can with them, coach them, and go into all their dance and clogs.
I forget where in Troy you live. What?
I live
street?
south of Troy, off
Okay.
Elba Highway.
Okay. Have y'all you
Towards
always
Spring
lived
Hill.
live outside the city
We
limits?
lived out there around 7 years now. Yeah.
But I didn't know that.
Yeah,
So you don't actually live in the city limits of Troy?
do not. Live south of Troy.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but it's still an easy drive to get to Montgomery.
It is.
Yeah,
Like we talked about before the show, I used to drive home every night.
and I did this session.
Well, you get in your own bed, you can take care of your business and see your children and everything. and
Right.
it's just much easier. That's one of the fortunate things that being a Montgomery area legislator.
It is. And it's
So
an
your
easy
daddy
drive.
can't do that in Tuscaloosa.
No, it's an easy drive. I mean, you got the good, nice 4-lane all the way up. Come just go right by Huntington College, right downtown. So it's
I
about
don't know whether
55 miles from my driveway to my parking spot there at the
How many
stadium.
miles?
About 55 miles.
Takes about an hour, doesn't it?
Takes right at an hour. Sometimes a little less if you saw according to how you drive.
Wes, now your daddy, that seat he's in Tuscaloosa, the house seat he was in,
Yeah.
was that the same seat Bentley was in? That's not the same seat.
That's the one he ran for. The House seat was Dad served in was 62, which was with Merrill, then Wingo now.
Okay.
And then the Senate seat was the one Phil Poole held that he beat
Okay.
back in 2010. Then Bentley ran against Phil Poole in '98.
That's
and
right.
lost
That
by
close-
just a handful
that's
of
right.
votes,
That's
if you
right.
recall that.
I remember that.
And then
now.
Bentley ran in '02, I think, and won District 63, which is Poole's seat now.
Yeah. You know who sat by me one term was old Tim Parker from Tuscaloosa. And Tim would drive down, he would go to the interstate to come down. I asked him how he drove from Tuscaloosa. He said he came down from down to 65. I bet you right now he wouldn't get 82 be the only route. 65 is a heck of a drive. It's a wreck on that road about half the time.
Anytime you go to the interstate, no telling what you're going to get.
It really is. It's got to be horrendous. Which brings me to the big point. The infrastructure package passed in a special session early on, and I think you were supportive of it, which I would have been too. We needed to do something for infrastructure in the state. But tell our viewers kind of what your thoughts on that. Did Governor Ivey call you in early about that, or anybody talk to you early about that?
No, not early at all. I mean, we came in to the regular session. They gabbled us into the special session, as you well know, which sort of compacted the regular session. We'll talk, I guess, more about that later. But when the leadership laid the information in front of us, and you realize that our roads and bridges are the biggest asset the state owns, and how we need to take care of those assets, and how we need to make sure we take care of our roads and bridges and economic development and the safety of all of our citizens, and making sure we can keep our economy growing, and how important it is to the citizens of this state. I think at the end of the day, it was the most conservative vote that we could make, in my opinion, because we didn't have to borrow money. We're paying for our bills we're paying for it up front with this package that we passed. And so, for instance, we got 20 bridges in Pike County that are posted that a school bus or a log truck can't cross. And when you look at it that way, and so school children have to go the long way around, or a log truck, a small business owner can't get logs out of the woods to spur the economy, create jobs, and do those things, or you can't cross it with a chicken, with a truck loaded down with chickens, going to Union Springs to the processing plant. So you look at the real world effects of deteriorating bridges and deteriorating roads and what it has on us. And so, I came to the realization that we had to make the decision, and Sometimes you got to make tough decisions. I made tough decisions every day as a probate judge, so I was used to it. But I just looked at the information that was given to me, and I believe any fair-minded person, if they've looked at the numbers never lie. And you look at it and how it was going to be set up, and it was only going to be spent on roads and bridges, and how it was going to be in a separate account, audited every year, and how it was going to be taken care of that way. I think most fair-minded people, majority would have supported the same.
Well, if we're going to grow as a state, we've got to have roads.
You got to be able to move people and move industry.
Yeah, that's no question about it. When I see people in Pike County at the post office or even at Julia's restaurants or somewhere, they would say, "Steve, I think we need to do something about our roads, especially rural roads."
All right. Farm to market roads.
Yeah, folks out there in the county, they said, "I'd be better off to pay a little gas tax. I have to have my front end lined every week." The roads are that bad in rural Pike County.
I heard that numerous times.
I bet you did.
I heard that numerous times.
I mean, people stop me at the post office and say, "Man, I hope they pass that." I mean, I'd pay more for gas tax. I mean, our roads are horrible. Is any major project that you think we'll be able to get in Pike or Dale County? Obviously, you got to take care of 231, but it's always being resurfaced or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always been taken care of because so many cars, drive down that thing, and it's a major thoroughfare going to Dothan from Montgomery, or maybe taking that right on 87 to go towards the Panhandle.
Wes, when I was in the legislature 20 years ago, James Kelly was the division engineer, and I'd go visit with him out at the division highway office. He told me that the road count right there on 231 where Burger King is, where you turn 87, has more traffic on it on 231 than I-65 going to Mobile. They know how many cars are going.
Yeah.
231 is a well-traveled highway.
It is.
I mean, it really is. It's a thoroughfare.
Well, we got Rex Lumber, getting ready to open up fully operational by August the 1st, and you think about the number of log trucks that's going to be traveling to get to that sawmill and the job that's going to be creating, and they're going to have a acceleration lane built in. Matter of fact, they're building it now. You've probably seen it riding by there. So those are some of the things. There's going to be millions of dollars for District 89 that are going to come from this new infrastructure package that we passed back in the special session. So people are going to start seeing some asphalt and some dirt moving and making these farm to market roads better.
Do you know what I perceive too is that people were not necessarily displeased with the idea of getting some money for the state docks. Because that's a moneymaker for the state of Alabama, and that port had to be expanded. Senator Shelby's going to help a lot, and he had to have some state matching funds. But I remember sitting with him one day, and I didn't know what he told me. He says, that the Mercedes plant and none of the car manufacturers could even send their cars through our Mobile dock. He said, that's a shame. He said, it's so outdated, it needs widening and deepening, that Mercedes they have to send their cars over to Savannah, Georgia, ship them, and then to send out overseas.
Look how much money they're going to save.
Exactly.
Go down to the Mobile port.
I mean, just
think about the farmers and the chickens and the logs.
Schofield told me the Senator Schofield told me, he said, Steve, that's one of the reasons why I voted for the bill. Was the docks thing. He said our chicken farmers, they've got to have that dock expanded. They can't. They're making ships bigger now. So our docks are outdated.
So it's got to be wider and deeper, and that's what they intend to do with that federal money that Senator Shelby's going to be able to secure for us, and us to be able to match it. So it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity there with him being in appropriations.
It really is. Wes, I love your group over there. You got all new guys. I had a picture made with y'all. You and Jeff Searles and Rhett McKee. Y'all all Wiregrass legislators.
We are, and it's been fun to get to know them.
And Jeff's a former mayor.
Mayor of Hartford.
And Rhett's a city councilman.
Former city council enterprise.
And you're a probate judge. So y'all all had experience.
So we bring a unique perspective from local governments and how it impacts people. And we all bring a little different perspective, and that's a good thing because it brings a wealth of knowledge.
Wes, one of the things people ask me about my experience in the legislature was the friendships you make. Like you're saying, you're building a lifetime friendship with old Rhett and those guys like me sent off the Army together.
That's right.
You know, some people say reform school, but really like being sent off to the Army.
Yeah.
Because you sit there with people for 4 or 5 months out of the year, and you figure how they voting and everything, and what's
right.
important to them. And I remember sitting by old Pete Turnham from Auburn, and was my seatmate for a while, and a long time, for over a decade. And he was dean of the house, and he'd tell me about his garden, and I stay in touch with him now all the time. He's 99 years old.
Oh, wow.
Through his son Joe. So you make for lifetime
You
friends
do.
there. Of course, your daddy being there is a good thing too.
It's been good to be able to serve with him.
What other legislation did you have? You proud of that y'all passed this time?
Well, I was able to sponsor a mental health bill that addressed.
Because you saw the problems with
Yeah.
the probate judge.
Yeah. For instance, current law allows when somebody is brought into an ER, like if they present themselves to the ER, 2 doctors can sign off to treat somebody if they can't make a decision if the patient can't make a decision for themselves. Well, sometimes at 2 o'clock in the morning, like at a rural hospital like Troy Regional, sometimes there's not 2 MDs on staff in the ER, but there is a nurse or there is a physician's assistant with them. So what we did was we amended current law to say a doctor, MD, plus a nurse can sign to say, hey, let's treat this patient. Let's get them where they need to be evaluated and stabilized, and then we can address it early in the morning with the probate judge and get the attorneys together and to make sure that we get them taken care of and get them seen about and protected. So it was very proud of that, and so because I've seen that mental health aspect.
I bet a lot of rural
close.
legislators realize. I bet the other probate judges appreciated it.
Yeah, they did, and I think it's just going to be another tool that they can utilize to help address mental health in the state. You know, it's not going to be a silver bullet, but I think it's going to take a lot of things like that to help address our mental health.
Wish you made a lot of friends with the probate judge. You were there 9 years.
We were there.
So they think of you as, are there any other legislators that were probate judge?
We had one, David Standridge.
He was?
He was a former, but he was the chair of the county commission too, whereas I was not. You know, that wasn't our setup in Pike. But,
Right.
But David is a former probate judge from Blount County.
I bet they're proud. I keep wanting to say Shedd is from Blount. He's from Coleman. I call
Former
him,
county commissioner,
Yeah,
chairman,
that's right. In Coleman County.
served for
I
many
don't know
years.
why I keep putting Shedd in Blount. But he's from
I think
Coleman.
I think he bleeds over in
I think
Blount
he
County.
does. Well, that's what's confusing me a little bit. But tell me this much: who is Holly? Is a real asset, isn't he? Learn a lot
He
from
is.
Holly, isn't don't you?
He's just a champion for his district, 31.
He sure is.
I
He
mean,
always has been.
He knows the rules backwards and forwards. He knows how the House and the Senate work because he's spent so much time there, and I'm just proud to call him my friend, and he's been such a mentor to me.
He is. He is you hit. He's a champion for his district.
He
He's a
is.
real champion for his district.
People-
I sat by Jimmy like you do with Marquis and Sorrells now. Jimmy and I sat together a couple of terms, about 8 years. He read every bill.
From Elba. Yeah,
I saw him get elbow holding school system one time. There's a whole new.
he's
school.
strong.
I said,
He's
I
strong.
said, Holly ain't nothing like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure they had some kind of insurance. I don't know if you're getting them to school on top of the insurance or what, but you got them a whole new school system. He knows how to get things done.
He does. Fishing operator.
Jimmy, he's you're right. He's been there so long that he actually learned the rules with Dr. Hubbard. Dr. Paul Hubbard he and Roy Johnson from Tuscaloosa were his boys. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
They had trained Roy Johnson from Holt, was a former teacher and principal.
I knew Roy. Yeah.
He was
Tuscaloosa.
he was smart as a whip, and he came with Holly in 1974.
Oh, wow.
That far back, and Holly and Jimmy Holly and Roy Johnson were Paul Hubbard's mentor. He mentored them, and they had to work against old black belt legislators like Joe McCorkadale and Rick Manley, who controlled the House. And they learned the rules. He taught them how to learn the rules. That's one major thing. Learn the rules. What other legislation? The broadband we touched on, the road program. What about the school stuff? Anything with schools we talk about?
Well, we had a great budget, 7.1 billion.
yeah.
I mean, it's the largest budget we've had, and So we're very proud of that. You know, gave the teachers a 4% pay raise, more money into the classrooms. So we're very proud of that budget. Chairman Poole does a great job as chairman of that ETF budget, as you know, Klaus does with the general fund. So very proud of that budget and what it's going to take care of the schools.
Yeah, community college got some more.
They did, and they absolutely, and Troy did very well. Troy University. So very proud of that school.
Yeah. Let me ask you about the general fund budget. Did y'all have any problem? That was bigger than the normal too. Steve had an easier job.
Well, the economy's doing great. You know, the economy's humming along.
Yeah.
And so tax revenue is really coming into both the ETF, which is mainly funded through sales and income tax, and the general fund's doing well as well. But you know, we've got the prisons to deal with, and got Medicaid. You know, Medicaid's always an issue in the general fund, and some other things. So
wasn't there some one-time money still in the general fund that helped bolster it this year? Was it? Is it going to have problems in the future? Unless it gets some growth taxes, it's going to have some problems, isn't it?
Well, I think that we got some unexpected good news from Medicaid not needing as much this year. Now I don't know what the case may be next year. But you'll have to ask Chairman Klaus about all the specifics. I'm still learning about the general fund and all the ins and outs. But like I said, he did a good job, and you know, Chairman Albritton in the Senate, you know, shepherding those things through and taking care of being, you know, adequately funded.
I bet the educators in Pike County were excited, weren't they?
They were, and they do a good job.
Do you? What about you? You know, when I was there, we had a lot of state employees. In Pike County.
State employees got 2% raise in the general fund budget this year.
Wes, talking about that.
And we held fast on the insurance side of things for them too.
Right. Now, it's forecast that the prison issue will be addressed in a special session in October. Is that what you're hearing, generally speaking?
I keep hearing that, but then I saw an article, you know, with the speaker this past, I think, weekend. That, you know, I don't know if it's going to be in the fall or not. So I don't know if he's.
You mean it might be earlier?
It may be earlier, maybe in the fall, maybe later. I don't know. But I'd like to see what comes before us.
About the prison thing that I would have to applaud the Justice Department, and I've said this on air around the state. When I was a younger man, you may not remember, Frank Johnson, the federal judge here in Montgomery, was in control of took over our state prison system. He was in receivership. And when a federal judge takes over your prison system, they just start doing things and give you a check. So it took decades for Alabama to get out from under the debt of that whole thing. California's under that situation now where a federal judge.
He told them to release prisoners. In California, we can't afford that.
No.
I mean, we cannot do that.
That's the kind of thing you can't control, but if you let them take it over, they get control of your prison.
And then tell you how much you need to spend
to build the prisons. I mean, so you can't budget for it because it breaks your state budget.
Right.
But having said that, I would applaud our local Justice Department officials and our U.S. attorneys here are working congruently with the governor's office. They're giving y'all, the legislature, a blueprint. Do this and you'll be okay. They're not blindsiding you anyway.
Right. They're give us an opportunity to come up with a solution.
And I think they need applauding for that, because they'll tell you, if you do this, you're okay. If you don't, you know, we'll allow them to take them over. So having said that, the point I'm getting around to is everything points to needing new prisons. Well, you're going to have new prisons, but the question becomes, where do they go? I mean, you've got some prisons surrounding your district where a lot of Pike Countyans work, in Bullock County, Bullock and Barber. And those, if you're from those counties, they really are important. But think about other areas like Wetumpka. How many prisons around? Atmore, and I mean,
you got Tutwiler, you got the women's prison, you got St. Clair, you got Bibb County. You just got them.
You have some local people they're gonna dig in on that issue.
It is, and I don't know the solution to it right now. I'm just a freshman. I haven't been party to any of the talks about, you know, what's kind of coming. So we're just going to have to wait and see what the governor and her office suggest and roll out, and with the leadership of the legislative branch too. So.
Well, it was a very significant first session for you, wasn't it?
It was. Like I mentioned before, I mean, you know, that special session took like 2 weeks, I think, And then by that time, it had condensed our regular session down, and it seemed like there was just a lot of issues out there that seemed like everybody's hair was on fire over. Pardon and paroles, you know,
Yeah.
we did that big, you know, that was a big
And that came
deal.
through your judiciary.
It did. And
Y'all, you had to
so
take some. You were supportive of that? Was
I
that?
was. I think.
Uh-huh.
I think there needed to be some accountability and oversight
Uh-huh.
to that, and I was happy to support Connie Rowe's bill. She was the one that carried that.
What about?
She did a great job.
Yeah, I like Connie.
I do too.
I like all those Walker County legislators. They do a good job. But now, what about as far as the prisons will be addressed in the fall? The road thing was addressed. Kay Ivey got her partnership. She had a very successful session.
She did.
Would she call y'all in periodically, have you up to visit and everything?
I didn't really visit with her other than at the beginning of the session. You know, when we were freshmen, kind of coming in. You know,
Did Joe Bonner call y'all all along?
She had her legislative liaison, which is William Fillmore. You know William.
Yeah.
I mean, he's on the floor all the time, and he's kind of our contact with her office. So that's who our first point of contact is if we've got any needs or anything, or if they've got anything they need to communicate to us. We talked to William, but she's done a good job leading. I'm very proud of her leadership.
Well, you've done a good job in your first year and the first year of a quadrennium, and I appreciate you taking time to be with us.
Yes, sir.
Our
Thank you.
time's up.
Wow, that went quick.
Yeah, it goes by in a hurry.
It does.
Folks, he's not a newcomer to the show. We've had him on before when he was probate judge when we filmed the show in Troy, and it was on when he first got elected, and he's just finished his first year in the legislature. Representative Wes Allen, former probate judge of Pike County, and now representative for District 89 in Pike and Dale counties, and we thank him for taking time to be with us and reviewing his first year in the legislature. We thank you viewers for watching. Hope you tune again next week for Alabama Politics. Thank you, Wes.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.